Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Emily in Madrid. We're starting this one off after my first sleep in Spain, which only lasted about 4 hours maybe. I think I napped on the couch, and then I felt a little hungry, and I thought, alright, now that I can change into something more seasonally appropriate and drop off my bags, it's time to hit into the city anew and find some food. And once again, I just kind of started wandering around. I still didn't have my phone set up because the friggin' site was still down, and I didn't really have any good sense of where I was going, but I thought, what better way to explore a new city? Do not take this as travel advice. Do not take that too broadly. Anyways, here I am. This is an excellent example of what I'm talking about. The brick walls, untouched, but the shutter doors and this little panel and stuff, heavily vandalized. I don't know if that's just because the material is easier to work with or something, but it kind of felt like there was some sort of treaty, some sort of truce, where as long as they just stuck to spaces like this and not the lovely brick facade, it was all good. I don't know. Strange. Here's a little pigillon. It's white. Cute. Here's just more apartments. I don't know. It's, when you travel to a place like this, I really do advocate taking a lot of just kind of random scenery pictures. Not necessarily of anything in particular, but ones that just have like a lot of little details. And then when you come back to them and you look at them, I think these give you kind of a sense of where you've been, even more than pictures of specific things that you went out of your way to remember. These are the ones that really put you back in that place fully and completely. A few things that I noticed in this one. These shutters are on almost every window in Madrid. They're like hard physical shutters because normal blinds let in way too much heat. These block the heat way better. Same with these type of awnings. They just provide so much more shade than any other kind of outcropping. They take beating the heat seriously here. And there's a good reason for it. It's so friggin' hot. But yeah, I don't know. It's all these little things. And at the time, I wasn't even really aware of the shutter meta. It was Isabel, our local friend, who told me about it. But, you know, it's fun looking back at the pictures at the start of this journey, learning all these things. And this is another little connection. Un concertito, Iggy Pop. Later, we went to the concert hall where Iggy Pop was going to play, and we saw him on the big poster of upcoming shows. Maybe I took a picture of that too. I don't know. We'll see. This, I think I took a picture of this church before too. I think it's just a lovely old church. The clock is tilted, which I thought was odd. But yeah, really lovely Catholic church. One of millions that I will see in this trip. And the moon, the pale midday moon against this perfect blue sky. This I thought was strange. I went to this store called Deals. It was kind of like a dollar store type store, I guess. There's a inspired by the something in something hills. Okay, so not inspired by David Lynch's Twin Peaks, which in turn is inspired by the Twin Peaks in San Francisco. But some other two peaks somewhere. Okay, sure. They don't refrigerate their eggs in Spain, I noticed, which I thought was very strange. But here are some eggs just out. This I thought was cute, a little claw machine outside a candy variety type store. Had a whole bunch of junk in there. Pokemon cards, temporary tattoos, fidget toys. Sure. This was in a grocery store. Their hot food section had a lot of decidedly Spanish stuff, like paella. You can just get a bowl of paella from these beautiful looking ready-made bowls. And these kind of omelet pastry things we saw all over the place too. I had them a few times. Delicious. So basically, before I had left, I had seen where a big grocery store was on the map, and I headed in that general direction. This indeed was a big grocery store. Here's some Torun. I took a picture of this because I thought it was like a novelty, and I was like, whoa, Torun, I've heard of that. That was in that one Anna cartoon, blah, blah, blah. There's turun like everywhere. It's just like a popular Spanish dish. I actually bought quite a bit of turun at a kind of a souvenir-y turun type shop. This was so cool. Once I start talking about this ham, I'm never going to shut up about this ham. This is before I even got a chance to eat it. But this was like my first glimpse at a food that would change my life. And I just thought it was amazing that in this fairly mainstream grocery store, it was a little higher end and it was quite big. But it wasn't anything crazy. Like, it wasn't a specialty shop. It was a chain. It was a big, big chain. It was the equivalent of like a Sobeys or a Zehrs in Canada. I don't know what that is in the States, but they had these just legs of ham just chilling. And you could just get sliced up right there. You can see this one is in the process of getting sliced. Some freshly cut ham. Man, oh my god, I'm just looking at it already. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it when I eat it. I have to put myself in the mindset of what I was really doing here on the first day. Here I was looking at it. I already knew about this ham. I knew there was like a big deal ham that you can only get in Spain, basically. It's super, super delicious. But I had no clue. I had no clue. Here they had a whole bunch of donut peaches. This is a fruit you see very rarely in North America. They're just all over the place. In retrospect, I wish I'd tried them. I actually really like this type of peach. I didn't get one though. This I thought was interesting. There was no Reese's Puffs, but they had engineered to cover the niche in the market that they knew of Reese's Puffs in North America. They made their own peanut balls. Amazing. The ingenuity of the human condition. Alright, so I got KFC. I was getting very hungry, and you know, I just had gotten there. I didn't have a sense yet of how much English I could expect people to speak. I knew my friends were getting there soon. I was just very intimidated and very tired, and I was like, okay, I know at KFC I'm going to be able to order using a machine most likely. If not, I'm going to be able to just point at things. I'm going to be able to use my credit card. I was also paranoid about that. I had read a whole bunch of stuff online that was like, if you have Visa, you're good to go, but I'm just a paranoid person, and I was like, I'm going to go somewhere and they're just going to demand euros because I don't know what like the credit card culture is in Madrid. Maybe they're a very cash-based city for all I know. Anyways, I had a lot of reasons to be paranoid, so I just went to KFC. And I got a beer. You can get a beer with your combo. It didn't cost any extra. You just selected it as if it was Coke or Sprite or whatever. They don't ID you or anything. Just something pops up and says, "Are you an adult?" And I was like, "Yeah." It's crazy. So there's my beer. I drank this beer quite a lot while I was in Spain. I really liked it. I liked that it was called Majo, magic beer. And here's what I got. I got the chicken pizza. And I got these are called like crazy Tex fries or something. They had bacon and cheese on them. And it was pretty gross. I couldn't finish either of them. Just very, very greasy. And since I was like so hungry, it just hit wrong, you know? I thought, oh, this is gonna be so good. It's just meat. Just shovel meat into my body. I'm gonna get full. But no, it was very unpleasant. And then my friend showed up. There's my friend Gleb, the second character introduced in this journey. We both said, "Oh, we gotta take a selfie. We gotta take a selfie." And I supersetted a selfie. I went whoop, and I took a selfie of us taking a selfie, which I thought was cute. So we started chilling. He made fun of me a lot for getting KFC. He's like, come on, you know, throw the rest of that out. Let's go get something proper to eat. And I was like, sold me. We were watching Doraemon in Spanish, and this is actually a very good show to watch in Spanish. It was very educational. They talk very straightforwardly about subjects because it's a kids show. They're eating gelato on Doraemon. So we went to a local bar, we got some beers, got a plate of ham and cheese and these little bready things. This ham was good, but it's not the crazy ham. So I'm not gonna start going wild. We got this sandwich. The sandwich is really good. It was kind of like a corned beef, good pickles. But, you know, just kind of typical bar food. It wasn't mind-blowing, but really hit the spot. And then we got a little cheese sampler. these cheeses were really, really good, I remember. And most places, we ordered cheese in a lot of spots because my friend and I both just love cheese. And a lot of places in Spain would have as an appetizer for a pretty reasonable price, like a cheese sampler. So we would order that in a lot of spots. Yeah, these cheeses were fantastic. I can't remember all that much about them, but in almost all of the cheese plates they got, they also gave you this very solidified like fig jam. That stuff was consistently amazing. I should have brought back like some jars of that. I'm sure I can get it here. I'm not really sure what it is though. But it really hits the spot with the cheese. It's just like very dense and sweet and can kind of counteract the heavy, sharp taste of the cheese so that you can keep refreshing your palate and try all of them with full appreciation. This was some weird bag hanging from a tree, I guess. I don't know. I took a picture of it. So we wandered back to the Airbnb. We picked up some beer. I think I had picked up some beer before. And we just watched some TV. We were watching some Dragon Ball Super in Spanish, chatting, getting caught up. So this is a friend of mine that lives in Norway. And I talk to him online a ton. He's actually one of my closest friends in terms of how much we talk to each other and how much we share with each other. But I really don't get to see him very often because he lives in Norway. He comes to visit Canada very, very seldomly. So it was very exciting to meet up with him in Spain. And then his girlfriend is the one who was born in Madrid, grew up in Madrid, and was like our little private tour guide. So that was fantastic. And then another friend of my friend, Gleb, his friend Julian, who was like his childhood friend who I'd never met before, he lives in New York, also met us there. So it was really fantastic. I think for him, he was certainly like the nucleus of this group, right? Like the three of us had never met each other, but we all knew him very, very closely. We all knew such different facets of his life too. I gotta imagine it was pretty mind-blowing for him. But everybody got along great. Here we are, it's day 2. We met up with Isabel, we headed out into the city. She was going to meet up with some friends of hers, and me and Gleb were going to do some touristy sightseeing. And the sightseeing begins. What a door! Oh my gosh. What a lovely old door. It really speaks to kind of like a living heritage that you see in a lot of these old European cities, where this is a functional building. This is a building in use. This probably leads to some very, very, very expensive apartments that have been in families for probably like 4 generations now. And this door, which was built as a mark of luxury centuries ago, is still standing, is still being used as the door to that building. It's just wonderful. It feels so unique and so different than anything you would see in North America, where sure, there's old buildings, sure, there's very wealthy buildings that have been in people's families for generations, but they're very hidden, you know? Everything that you're going to see on the street is super like modernized. It's super like upfront in its luxury. Whereas here, everything is kind of hidden. Everything has that old money sort of enchanted feeling. Here is a big statue thing. And this was like one of the main squares we kind of kept walking through. We joked about how it felt like Madrid only had about 8 streets because so many places we wanted to see were kind of in the same general areas, and we would start by taking the subway or taking the cab to like the same spot and setting out down the same street. I said it kind of felt like a JRPG where you're just kind of running through like the same pre-rendered backgrounds. But they're all so beautiful and so rich with detail and history that it was hardly a complaint. Like, just look at these buildings. And you can see that is the building with the door I was talking about. So these are just like privately owned apartments that are, you know, ungodly expensive and can't even be given a price because they've probably just been in the same family for so many generations now. But it's like, I don't know, I'm not out here idolizing the rich or whatever. The great Kitsta is a Hypocrite series can continue, I'm sure, but there's just something so kind of enchanting about that, about the lifestyle that you can imagine, even if it is, you know, probably very idealized and not at all representative of their real lives. There's a certain type of kind of bougie, sophisticate, glitterati lifestyle in these gorgeous apartments in the downtown of a city like Madrid that you just look at these buildings and you feel kind of, and then you think, let's seize all their assets and distribute them to the poor. And then you come back to reality. But yeah, really, really lovely buildings. Here's another cathedral. Good fountain outside. Just recently somebody was asking me, do you see any good fountains in Spain? Who was that and why? And I was like, you know what? I don't really remember. Well, here's a fountain. Here's a... I took a picture of this. This is something to do with Mexico. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother. Here's a nice old statue. There's Gleb going up the stairs ahead of me. This was a park area that we were exploring a bit. It's very, very tropical, very sunny. I love these huge palms and fawns, ferns, whatever. Here's a beautiful view of the city that we could see from this little park that we climbed up to. I love shots like this. It just goes on forever. And it feels kind of uniquely Spanish, you know? This kind of brick color of the buildings, it almost evokes terracotta or something like it. It feels very old world. There's a few kind of modern looking buildings here and there, but the vast majority, something about the color, it just kind of feels eternal. Another shot. This is about face, back towards the park. This was a temple that Isabel recommended we go see. This was like Temple de Bod. It's very old. It's built in like the Egyptian style. So I think what it was is like kind of during the Greco-Roman period, there was like a whole lot of Egyptian cultural appropriation, for lack of a better term, where they would build Egyptian-style temples all over the place. This is one of them. You can kind of see it's almost like a fusion of the Greco-Roman and the Egyptian. Is that the only picture I took of it? I guess at the time I thought, oh, we're going to go in this, so I'll take better pictures while we're going in. And it's like free. But the line was colossal. And we did a quick little estimate. We saw how quickly it was moving, and it would have been like 3 hours of waiting in line. And we already had plans to meet up with Isabel for lunch, so it was just like, okay, this isn't happening. But yeah, I guess that's the only picture I took of it. You can look it up. This is a tree growing at a weird angle. Cool. These are some more modern apartments, but I think they still have a very unique style, which I like. Again, just something about the coloring. What's interesting though is that these buildings, or these windows, aren't shuttered the way that most of them are, which makes me think maybe it's some sort of new modern glass that's more, prevents more heat from going in. It's a nice street shot. This sign I thought was really, really beautiful. An old ice cream vendor. Oh man, I don't know. This kind of art style is just so, almost hypnotic to me. The way your eye flows from fruit to fruit. Doesn't it look good? Look at how happy this kid is. I love ice cream, he's saying. This says Prada boobs, and I thought that was cool. This was, so we decided to head for the palace. There's like the royal palace, which has some very lovely gardens around it. And we kind of got lost. This is walking past the palace gardens. We were trying to figure out how to get in. There's only really one entrance, we realized. But we walked around a lot of the perimeter trying to look for places to get in. This is inside the palace gardens now. You can see there's a little path going down here. Really, really, really beautiful. It had a nice combination of these very like stately, extremely well-kept, perfect angles, perfect symmetry lawns. And then, like we saw just in the picture before, these areas that are kind of very tropical and overgrown and more of like a botanical garden where they're actually just aiming for like diversity of species and like a recreation of the natural habitat. So I thought that fusion was really, really cool. And as you walk through the park, there was kind of areas of both. Here you can see in the distance the royal palace itself. Beautiful, beautiful. This rock had a lot of holes in it, which I thought was cool. What is that called? Pumice? No, pumice is something else. Pumice also has holes in it, though. it's like a type of rock. The 5-year-old in me that watched every episode of Magic School Bus is like screaming at me right now. I don't know what type of rock this is called. Another shot of the gardens and the big lawn. Beautiful, beautiful. Again, where's the clouds? Where are they? Where are they? Find one. Find one and I'll e-transfer you $50. This was just these long forested paths. So I think our plan originally was like, okay, we'll kind of like work our way up to the palace and then we can kind of check out the palace area. And then we'll like leave through there because the restaurant we're going to for lunch is like in this direction behind the palace. Didn't quite work out that way. It's kind of like a maze in here of just these long tree-lined paths that aren't necessarily really connected to the things you're expecting them to be connected to. And it wasn't so bad. The shade made it pretty bearable, and it was lovely. But we did have a very deep sense of like, where are we going? I'm hungry. Are we gonna be on time for lunch? But it all worked out in the end. This thing I had never seen before in my life. It's like a lawn Roomba. It just goes around mowing the lawn, and we saw it from a distance and we're like, what's that? And we got close. We observed its behavior. Look at it. It's so cool. Oh my god. As a kid, right? I grew up on a farm, right? We had a huge lawn and my grandma's lawn. I would mow those on the riding lawnmower. It would take me 4 hours or so. And the whole time I would just be thinking, there should be like a machine. I'm not making any like smart decisions. This should be doable by machine. Maybe if I set up like bumpers, then just had the gas pedal weighed down, it could steer itself. I spent the whole 4 hours every time like scheming. How can I get out of this? And here it is, the auto mower. Maybe I'll buy one for my dad. Nah, he kind of likes mowing the lawn, I think. I took a video of it in action, but I don't think it was mowing. I think it was just looking for grass that was too high.
Something I wanted
and this grass was acceptable because all the grass was dying. They definitely watered these lawns, but even then, without like a lot of rainfall, the grass isn't going to grow that much.
So badly as a kid.
This was just kind of an odd little gazebo type thing. And I thought it looked eerie because there was red stained glass in it. So you could see this kind of glowing red light. And I was like, what is this for? Like, who goes in here and why? It was so ominous. Same with this little chalet. This one has a bit more of an obvious purpose. You can have little dinners in there, maybe wedding photos. I don't know. It's a lovely building, but just out here in this park, you just kind of stumble upon it, and you're like, "What is this?" Nice fountain, lovely, the kind of classical Greco-Roman style. We'll see a lot of that sculpture in our journeys. The fountain actually now drained, probably because it was hot as fuck and not really worth maintaining. Here is the little grass Roomba putting along. Well, it's not the same one. Obviously they had probably hundreds of these. I took another video. Since the last one I just filmed it like bonking into a tree.
Look at it go. Look at it go.
Nice. Big tree. I thought it was lovely. Just such old forestry. It's like something special when you know these trees have been maintained. Not just that they're 100 years old, but they've been maintained for 100 years old. They've been sculpted and cared for 100 years. It's neat. So we eventually kind of escaped. We eventually had to go back basically where we came in and then looped around the park. So our routing, whatever. Here's some pictures of the palace from the other side as we headed to the restaurant. Another lovely shot of the city. This was also part of the palace, or this is the cathedral that's across the street from the palace, which we didn't end up going into, but we did on a later date go through the actual palace. Look forward to that. It's gonna be a banger episode. Got some fun anecdotes. Oh, I have a Tums. Oh yeah, just exploring around. Some nice old steps. Here we saw an Italian flag for some reason. And for some reason, not for some reason, this is the Institute of Italian Culture. For some reason, since I've been back, on like 5 occasions, I'm in conversation with someone. Oh, what have you been up to? Oh, no, I just got back from Italy. Oh, yeah, how was that? Oh, what? No, I got back from Spain. Even while I was there sometimes, I would think, I'm in Italy. And I have no idea why. I have no idea why. Just early onset, extremely localized dementia, where my brain would just constantly swap, not just the words Spain and Italy, but the very concepts of Spain and Italy. And I would legitimately think, oh, I'm in the one with the pasta. And then be like, well, kind of, but no. not that pasta. So that was weird. Here's a nice old cathedral. Some nice streets. What's this place? Some restaurants. I think we went into one of these places to get a coffee and some orange juice. Kind of chill. This is like a big touristy area. These are some tour groups coming through. But just beautiful, beautiful streets. Yeah, here was a glass of orange juice I got. Again, just phenomenal, super delicious. This is the place we went to. A lot of places had this sort of floral decor, which I really, really liked. I don't know, it just gave everything like this greenhousey, very stately but wild feel. So good. This is a very, very famous square. I can't think of what it's called, but it's very famous. And in the middle is the statue of some guy on a horse. See, if I had made these videos right after I got back, I still wouldn't have remembered, but it would have been a lot more embarrassing. Now I have a whole month worth of forgetting to excuse myself. But yeah, I took some pictures here. This was just a straight up, I'm going to look straight up and take a picture. I couldn't even physically look up myself. I just had to hold the phone up. But you can see there's no clouds. Nowhere, anywhere, there's no clouds. And maybe some of you out there are watching that being like, yeah. But for someone who grew up in Ontario and has largely just traveled to like Japan and Great Britain and Ireland and stuff, this is crazy. Some nice buildings here. This is a lot of the streets, instead of kind of a modern standardized street sign, they instead had these old tile signs with portraits of who the street was named after. Isn't that just lovely? Isn't that just this immersion of history and everything? And then we found the Tim Hortons. Oh, baby. This was... So, Isabel was the first extremely, extremely offended that I went to KFC. I thought she was just kind of ribbing me, and deep down she understood why I did it. Just, you know, why did I do it? I don't know, but there must have been some reason. I thought she could empathize, but no. It sincerely offended her that I went to KFC. She kept saying, you did the American. And we would meet up with her friends, and one of the first things she would say to her friends was, in this one, she did the American. She got KFC. And then she would complain about how me and Gleb, left to our own devices, went to Tim Hortons. So for our non-Canadian viewers, Tim Hortons is a coffee chain in Canada. It serves coffee, donuts, little snacks, sandwiches, whatever. It's not considered to be great. It's something, you know, of a Canadian cultural icon, but it's owned by an American company, and all of the things that people praise about it, they always praise with the caveat of, oh, well, they used to be good. They used to have good donuts. Now it's all frozen stuff. Oh, they used to have really good coffee, and then they changed suppliers, and now it sucked. But everyone kind of has this weird fondness for impossible Tim Hortons of the past that didn't really exist, maybe. But it's so uniquely Canadian. It's so definitively Canadian. They're just everywhere you look in Canada, that seeing one in Spain is actually really mind-blowing. So we had to take pictures of it. We didn't order anything. We just went to the bathroom here, but it was super exciting nonetheless. Gleb took a picture of me. Well, I'll have to make like a bonus round of pictures that were taken of me, or other interesting pictures that were taken on other people's phones that were sent to me later, because There's an awesome picture of me in front of the Tim Hortons sign. This was a good duck, I thought. Some sort of duck restaurant. This was a cool music store. Unfortunately, it was closed, and I don't know if we could have spent a whole lot of time there anyways, since we were on the way to the restaurant. But it looked cool. This I think I took a picture of like 3 times because I just wanted to remember it so I could come back when it was open and check out, you know, these nerdy comics and stuff. And B, because I thought this graffiti was really cute. And I also noticed there's a bubble tea place here too. But we got bubble tea later. Another really lovely old door. This was near where the restaurant was. We kind of like circled our way in there and did some sightseeing. Oh, they had all these kind of open cafe areas where this one is mostly a Starbucks, but normally it would be like 3 or 4 restaurants in the square. It would all have tables kind of set up all over the place. Just a very loose, open, friendly, exciting vibe. I loved it. We ate at a few places like that. Here's me. Oh, we're back in the square. I thought I had some pictures of me back in the square, but I thought maybe they were on Club's Fun. Nice, nice. You can see I'm no longer wearing jeans. Phenomenal. So smart. I'm wearing a hat that my mom made me. Everyone says it makes me look like a jellyfish. Oh, where is it? Oops. I knocked my headphones over. I love it. It's like big. Because I have a big head, so most hats don't fit me. So my mom said, I'll make you a big hat that you can actually wear. And I said, hell yeah. It's good. It's good for beating the heat. Oh yeah, and this fan, I'm not sure when I got this fan. But Isabel got it for me. She said, all Spanish ladies ought to carry a fan, which I thought was very nice. It's a lovely, lovely fan. Here, let's pull up the close-up. You can see it's got this intricate carving, hand-painted flower design, lovely fabric edge, and it's just so satisfying to whip out. Fan yourself. I got addicted to it. I couldn't have made it. I couldn't have survived the trip without it, for sure. It was so hot. And then since then, I've still been using it pretty often. But, you know, back in Canada, not so many people are carrying fans. I feel a little bit obnoxious, but it's good. And there's all sorts of kind of gestures you can make with it. I'm not too good at it. I'm not very coordinated, but, you know, you can understand the idea. Okay. Here I am back in the square in some silly poses, wearing my Poon Poon shirt. This is just another really lovely street. All these kind of open restaurants spilling out into the public. This I thought was weird graffiti. It just says Scotland. Can you imagine coming from Scotland to Spain and being like, I know what I'm going to do to make my mark. I'm just going to write Scotland in fairly small letters on the sign of this grocery store. This one says Laos, though, which is cool. Because we saw the same graffiti in Montreal. I remember graffiti that said Lao, and it was written like this too, which is crazy. And this one says sex group. So some real cool dudes came by here. This I noticed in the overhead of buildings. The little balconies for these apartments were actually made of this really beautiful old tile, which I thought was just so amazing. Just this little glimpses of old history and design that haven't been covered up, haven't been replaced, haven't totally been destroyed. It's beautiful. Oh, man, yeah. Oh, what a lovely, lovely city. Oh, man, I couldn't have planned that better if I tried. Well, you know, some things never change, no matter where you go. So this was the restaurant that we were meeting Isabel and her friend at. Captain a la Triste. So basically, there's this very old property in Spanish. It's sort of like Zorro. Captain a la Triste, he's like an adventurer. I think he's somewhat of a scoundrel. He has all sorts of mishaps over a series of novels. And one of the things he's always doing is going back to this tavern with his friends where they drink and eat and make merry and whatever. And this is a recreation of that tavern, as close as possible from the descriptions of the books. So, great concept start for the start. This is the awesome idea for a restaurant. And then the interior was amazing. Gleb said, oh, it looks like Skyrim. I guess it does look like Skyrim, and I haven't really played Skyrim, but I think it just kind of looks like everything did back then. All just like these big old exposed wood logs and these old paintings and stuff. And it's cool because it's like an old restaurant too. Obviously it's not as old as the restaurant depicted in the books. I'm sure for this from the 1700s, I think, but it's like 2 layers of classic where these paintings were probably contemporary when the restaurant was made. You know, painting in an old style, but made new in that old style. But then, just because the restaurant itself is so old now, these paintings have taken on a history of their own, even though they weren't like authentically as old as they're made to appear. I don't know, I hope this is obvious what I'm talking about, because I don't think I'm explaining it well. But I just think that's really neat, these kind of 2 successive eras of history infusing this place with meaning. Here's something beautiful about Spain. Almost every restaurant starts you off with a bowl of olives. This place, since there's such a big focus on pig and pork and stuff, also started you off with some fried pork skin. Wonderful little snacks. Here is the menu in English. It's a lot of what I was told is like quite traditional Spanish cuisine, kind of old school, old world Spanish cuisine. I was so excited. There's so many things on here that looked phenomenal. Let's see what we got. We got a beer. All right then. Here's a shot of... I was mostly trying to take a picture of the decor, but it turned out to be a pretty funny picture of Club. But yeah, really, really lovely decor. We got a bowl of gazpacho, which is a cold tomato soup. And then you mix in all sorts of stuff. They kind of come around and ask, which of the bonus ingredients would you like to mix in? And I said all, at the recommendation of my co-diners. So there's like onion, there's croutons, there's green onion, there's green bell pepper. I don't know, I think one other thing? I'm not sure. And so the soup is basically just tomato and olive oil. And it's served very cold. And it is mind-blowingly refreshing on a hot day. It just hits. My God, it just hits. I could have drank a gallon of it right there. And the extra little bites give it a bit of zest, a bit of crunch. Definitely a big, big winner. This was another order we got. This is like a type of pepper. It wasn't spicy, but it was like fried. It was very buttery, very luxurious, very delicious, while still feeling very like classic and rustic. So good, so good. Oh, man, this octopus. This maybe one of my favorite dishes of all time. I don't know. That seems kind of crazy, but I don't know, because it was so simple. It may look like it's very heavily spiced, but that's just because it's like paprika, and paprika, really colors. It's like a smoked paprika. This is just potato. This is just fried onion. But the way the octopus is prepared, it's so soft. It like melts in your mouth. It's like no other octopus I've ever had. It's still kind of chewy. It still has like the spring and the like resistance of octopus. But then when you bite into it, it's like a cloud. And I had heard a lot about these Spanish octopus dishes. So this was something, I requested. I was like, I want to try the octopus here. Is the octopus good here? Because I really want to try it. And I was just like, oh man, I was blown away. Isabel made some joke about, I need to meet someone that looks at me the way Emily looks at that octopus. Because they gave me, there was like some left over after everybody had some. And they all said, you should have it, you should have it. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know. It was like the way you were staring at it. But I guess I was just like looking at it longingly. Maybe drooling a little bit. Oh my God, it was so good. Oh man. It was just to perfection. And there was just like a little bit of crisp. a little bit of char. So the outside had kind of like a crunchy layer that was very insubstantial, and then that kind of firmness, that plumpness of octopus, which again was kind of insubstantial. And then once you got through that, it was just this like really soft, flaky, like, oh man, it was so good. I took so many pictures of it. I was so enamored. This is what Isabel ordered, I think. It's just pig. It's fried up with the skin on it. So 2 people ordered something like that. I got a fish dish that was very, very good. It was like a white fish, very garlicky. You can see these all chunks of garlic, some fried tomatoes and potatoes. It was very, very good. And Gleb got these were pork chops, I think. So yeah, very old school, right? Like it really kind of feels almost like medieval dining. Like, I don't know, what do I know about medieval dining? But it has that feel, right? It has that feel. And then Gleb was like, why are you taking pictures of other people's food? That's stolen valor. You can only take pictures of what you eat. So he's trying to block my camera. But that didn't stop me. They had really nice bread there, too. You could soak up your sauce. This was the dessert menu. I ordered pears and wine. Oh, man, it was so good. I love, like, a fairly light, tangy red wine. That's just my favorite type of red wine. And it was like, this was like the platonic exaggeration of that. So infused with the pears, and the pears infused with the taste of the wine, they become one. And Isabel got this sorbet. I tried a little bit of it. It was phenomenal. Gleb got this, I think this is called the Flanders Pie. It's like a multi-layer, very crisp pie with some sort of custard filling in between, I think. And then we also got these little fried donut fritter things. You see Gleb had an espresso. So then we left, wandered about. This is a nice mural. Some apartments. Again, just the bluest of blue skies. I think here we're waiting for a taxi in the shade. Just taking pictures. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I love this palm tree sticking out of this person's backyard. So good. Just enchanting. Just more street shots. Here we are in the taxi. I thought this big arc gate was nice. More shots. This type of tree. I remember my cousin showing this to me when I was in England. I was visiting him at Oxford, and in the parks. I gotta stop making these soon. In the parks in Oxford, there's a lot of these trees that their tops were totally flat like this. And he was like, yeah, this used to be a big deal back in like the Renaissance period, probably Victorian era, one of those real snooty eras, where to just flex, they would continually chop off the top of the tree so that it would grow flat like this. Just to flex, just to show that they could. So this is such a tree in Spain. It looks odd. Here's some other interesting looking trees. And an IKEA truck. Cool. Just more shots from the taxi. It was kind of nice being able to sightsee without getting hot and tired. Back at the Airbnb, I realized I never took a picture of the door. It's one of these doors with the doorknob in the middle. Crazy country. This is right outside the Airbnb. Just beautiful, beautiful skies. There's the moon again. We took a taxi again for somewhere in that evening. So basically our routine was this, and I settled into this very quickly. We'd wake up in the morning, usually kind of late into the morning. We would go out for lunch and do a little sightseeing. Then in the early afternoon, we would come back to the Airbnb and siesta. And the siesta is a most brilliant cultural innovation that we owe much to Spain for teaching us. That it's so damn hot. You get so tired after you eat a big lunch, because in Spain, lunch is usually the biggest meal. You just have a little nap. You just sleep for an hour or two, and then you feel so refreshed, you feel so energized, you feel so digested, and you head out into the evening, and it's cooled off a little bit. You have dinner, you go drinking, And, you know, because you've had your little nap, we would go until the wee hours of the morning, head back home, go to sleep, and do it all again. It was such a lovely routine. So here I think we've had our little cerveza. Now we're taking a taxi to somewhere else. There's all these big underground highways in Madrid, which I thought was so cool. So many lanes, so many ways that it can split and rejoin and stuff. It seemed like you could get pretty much anywhere using these underground tunnels, which was so great because then the main city itself isn't clogged up with all sorts of traffic and through roads and overhead roads and all that stuff. So it's just like a nice little park. I don't remember where we're going. This will be a surprise. Where did we go? River? Another journey? Still in the Airbnb, or the taxi? Oh yeah, it's like we took the taxi to the subway station, and then we took the subway or something. Or it was like there was like a road closed. I can't quite remember this. We ended up in the subway station. It was a cool subway station. Here's a shot of the train. People getting on the train, busy. Where are we going? This I thought was cool. The subway station, even though we're underground at the level of the subway, it was all completely open, and you could see up to natural light still, which was kind of uncanny. Okay, so this is actually the next day. So basically, this guy Julian showed up. I think we'll call the video here, because once Julian shows up is when things get real wacky. But he shows up, and we have to kind of go out and get some essentials and stuff. And I've never met this guy before in my life, right? I've heard about him from Gleb. I'm sure he's heard of me in some capacity. I have every reason to think I'll like him. But I decide I have to go to this drugstore. I'm looking at the window of the drugstore. I see these condoms. And I think, this is hilarious. I'm laughing. Because I have the mind of a child. And I think, okay, this is it. I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to show this to Julian. If he thinks it's funny, we're just set. We're going to be the best of buds for this whole trip. If he doesn't think it's funny, if he gives me a look or something, then, you know what? We got it out of the way. But no, he cracked up too, and he also took a picture, and I was like, we're going to get along just fine. And we did. Okay. Yeah, I think, I can't even remember. I can't remember. I guess Julian showed up like after lunch that day. Or maybe this is the next day. But then what did we do after we got lunch that day? I don't even know. So anyways, I think he showed up after lunch that day, and we started our second wave of adventures with him. So look forward to the next episode where we cover that, which I think I'll shoot tomorrow because I'm getting tired. But I'm really enjoying making these. I'm glad I finally did. I'm glad I didn't just give up on it, because I think this is going to be really fun to revisit my vacation this way, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. Okay, bye-bye!